plan, we're going to take all those families out of those lousy places and put them either into private apartments at market rate rents or into rehabilitated city-owned housing. And for those from Philadelphia who are not aware of it, already New York City has rehabilitated almost 20,000 units, not 200. We do that in a week.
Didn't we really find that those 20,000 were part of Mario Cuomo's dream?
No, no. Huh? They're there because our organization, which is primarily made up of churches and synagogues, have already taken 3,500 of the homeless out of the welfare hotels and the shelters and put them into their own rehabilitated apartments.
Let's come back to the audience next, all right? Come on. Quite obviously, I'm going to let the audience do the rest talking. You had something you want to say, pal. Finish it up. You didn't say diddly up there.
Yeah, well, in addition, I think taking all the families out of the welfare hotels is diddly, and it's a hell of a lot more than diddly.
All right, what are you going to do? How are you going to get them to work?
In addition to that, we're going to put a component in there in which people who don't have jobs, people who are homeless, who want to help fix up their own homes, make their own home for themselves, will also be put to work rehabilitating these apartments, and they will be paid a decent wage.
What's a decent wage?
One that will permit you to live decently, just like you do.
This guy wants to start this program. Where's the money coming from?
Hold on.
Where's the money coming from?
But
where's the money come from?
The money is going to come from what they would otherwise be paying the rich welfare hotel owners.
That's our money, Mark! Mark, that's our money!
No, it isn't coming from you.
Let me hear you.
It isn't. No.
I'm a taxpayer. I deserve a check.
I'd like to say something.
Now, do you love your city the way it is? Is it clean enough?
Well, wouldn't you
I
much rather see your welfare payments?
Wait a second. Good question here.
If everybody cares enough about the city, not just New York, Newark, everywhere.
Los Angeles, Dallas,
everywhere,
Atlanta,
yeah.
everywhere.
Put these homeless to work cleaning the streets.
$12.50 a week.
Yeah. $12.50, but
$12.50 a week. But did you
That's a web program.
If I was making zero a week, yes, I'd have enough pride to do something.
You can do something. You're not
Hey, more. I'm sitting here. I go to school. I work my butt off all summer. Why? To have them take taxes out for me, to have people sleep on a bench.
But wouldn't you much rather see the program he's talking about is permanent? It's a permanent solution. You're using the welfare dollars instead of in a temporary solution of making these welfare hotel owners rich. You're taking it, you're making
No, you're going to save money.
Solution.
That's the point. You're going to save $33 million in the first 3 hotels.
That's good.
Don't you listen?
$690 a day for a single patient at Bellevue. $690 a day, based on Norm's theory.
Let me hear from this gentleman. Let me hear from this gentleman. Let me hear from this gentleman. Oh, $600 a day. Good.
Apartments, even in New York City, for that kind of money.
First of all,
not for care, just for room.
Excuse me. First of all, you guys have a lot to say, right? You two right here. This guy hasn't said a word up there. He's sitting there like...
Well, you want to know what homebound community is doing?
You guys have something to say. First of all, you say that this man right here, Steve, you know, the only reason he got his job is because he's white, right? That's the only reason he got his job. He's making money. He made it because he was homeless once before.
God bless Steve.
Where's Jesse Jackson now? Look how far he went. Look how, he's black. He had opportunity. It's a land of the free. It's a land of opportunity. You got to start somewhere, buddy.
We're trying to elevate ourselves. You know?
You got to start somewhere.
Yes, and that's what we're trying to do.
Did you go to high school? Did you go to high school? Did you go to high school?
Help ourselves.
Did you go to high school?
You put something in a cup.
Did you go to high school? Learn to go to grade school?
For the homeless. And you haven't, man. You haven't done anything for the homeless.
Pal, you want to say? Let me hear from this gentleman a second.
Wait a second.
My tax dollars up.
Wait a second. Let me hear from this gentleman.
I don't think it's purely a black or white
Let
issue.
me hear from this gentleman, please. All right.
What I have to say is, I don't agree with it. The homeless shouldn't have to get things free. They should be out to work, earn it. But as far as giving assistance and stuff, these people are talking about taking money out of their taxes. When you got to making $60,000, $70,000 a year, you got 2 cars in the garage and stuff. You got everything. I don't mind them taking that little money out. If I know they're going to do something to help themselves, I'm willing to help. I don't know about, everybody wasn't born with a silver spoon.
Let me tell you. That's about the most humanitarian and sensible thing I've heard. If people are willing to work and willing to help themselves, then we don't mind.
I'm not talking about those people.
I agree, too. I agree. If a person wants to work, I agree with that. But these people are saying, hey, we don't want $12.50 a week. We want more than that. We don't want a shelter. We want a house. Hey, I would like to live in a house with 2 cars. I would like to have a little dog running around back. But I would take an apartment and start off with and work up with that. If someone's going to give you a shelter, you start with a shelter. Then you work to an apartment. Then you eventually work to a house. I'm not giving it to you. All we ask is...
I got something to say here. This guy in this blue shirt is too modest to say it, but he won 3 Bronze Stars in Vietnam. 4 Bronze Stars. Now, how many of you know that 1/3 of all homeless people are veterans? Did you know that? How many of you knew that?
I would have went. If I was there, I would have went.
Yeah?
My whole family went. If I was there, I would have went.
He did go. And
Well, I'm sorry, I'm not old enough.
Let me finish.
I'm not old enough.
Let me finish a second. A lot of those guys came back. Wait a second. A lot of those guys came back with some real problems. Society rejected them. They're a little strange in the head. They're doing the best they can. Anybody ever needed a helping hand here?
To any veteran who's homeless, one thing I'll tell you, they belong the first we should do anything for. The very first. We'll be back in just a minute.
Stop watching TV. If your mobility...
All right. Go to a loudmouth, people only, go at it. No experts, sit down. Sit down, we don't need you.
We made one mistake already, okay? We let a walking jewelry store get out of here. We should have took some of that gold and gave it to some of these people. The problem is that a lot of people are missing and nobody's looking at. All of these people go, and they fix up all these units. They give them the low-income housing and everything else. Maintain it. You go down a street where there's low-income housing or whatever, 2, 3, 4 months later, looks like a pigsty. A rake is $2. A rake is $2.
Sir.
What's the explanation?
Let's hear some other people, all right? Go ahead, ma'am.
I just feel that a lot of the money that's being spent to house these people in welfare hotels should be channeled into providing jobs for them so that they can get themselves up off the street and help themselves.
Mr. Siegel, I'd like to direct this question at you. I'd like to know why you and all your liberal political friends want to take our hard-earned tax dollars and take them to subsidize housing for able-bodied people who will not go to work. It's just not fair. It's understandable.
Let me respond.
People who are trying...
I understand what people are saying about the taxpayers' money, but you have to understand that there are millions of dollars that are now being spent in an ineffective way.
It shouldn't be spent at all.
Well, I disagree with that. Maybe we can find the common ground in the sense that much of
the Jesse Jackson common ground. I'm telling you, it's just ridiculous that able-bodied people will not go out and work.
That's not true.
At least if they make an attempt.
Would you be kind enough to let other people speak? This lady is behind you. Let her up there. You go ahead and you finish.
Housing is not just a problem of the
American
homeless.
dream is all about working and working your way up.
It's not just a problem for the homeless. You've got these single mothers that we talked about before that have children that have to get 2 and 3 other mothers, have to beg somebody to move in with them because landlords don't want to rent to them. It's hard. These are the people that are going to be homeless. These are the people, if you take care of the problem before it starts, there won't be homeless later. You got to take care of it before it starts. You've got, in Jersey City alone, you can count 15 buildings going down one block, not one person. A Reverend Brower in Jersey City says, we're going to get the sweat program in. Going to get you people in there and work. You want to sign up? A 7-month pregnant girl signed up to go in and paint a room and then told her, you can't. They decided not to. Those buildings are still there and still empty 3 years later.
You know, Mort, you mentioned gentrification. It's those very areas that are always represented by liberal politicians. There's an unholy alliance between the new gentrified residents that are displacing the poor and the hypocritical liberal politicians whose crocodile tears are supposedly shed for them.
Let me... Wait a second, Maggie. Wait a second, Maggie. Let's find out who is the congressman in the South Bronx, which is falling apart. Is he Republican? No. Who is the congressman in Harlem, where it's falling apart? Is he Republican? No. Right. I mean, where are all these conservative congressmen who are creating this gentrification? What he says is right. What he says is right. They're all represented by liberal, pablum, puking Democrats.
Yeah, just a second on that one. The main reason most people are homeless today is because the Republican president walked away from his obligation to provide federal funding for low-income replacement housing. That person is a Republican, and he is primarily responsible for homelessness today.
If the only thing people here respond to is money or your tax dollars, then maybe you should consider the fact that the Office of Mental Health in New York State has a $3 billion annual budget, which goes to labeling, locking up, drugging, oppressing, brain-damaging, disabling people. Well, and you all should consider that 1 out of 10 people is going to do some time in that kind of situation, which means a lot of people in this audience are statistically certain to end up there. So maybe you ought to give a damn about the Bill of Rights.
Let me get this young lady up there.
I spent a lot of time visiting on the
Wait a
project
second, sweetheart. Wait a second before we use some of the $3 billion on you. Go ahead.
There was a large apartment complex, okay, in central Jersey, in a major city. And as they renovated the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th floor and got down to the 5th and 6th floor, by that time they had the plumbing ripped out, thrown over at the plumbers. Besides that, they're urinating on them. And this is right, and we're supposed to keep taking care of these people?
We haven't come up with any solutions tonight. No solutions other than this solution I heard. And there's some Jerry, who's downtown in New York. We've got to make that abandoned housing available for the poor and the homeless and get the hands out of the pockets of the middle class of America. Good night. Good night.